What is up, everybody? I want to tell you a story. So, about 11 years ago, I had just moved to Prescott, Arizona. I got a little hosting job at a small restaurant, a mom and pop restaurant. I was there for about 8 months and realized it wasn't really for me, kind of the ownership and how they did things. I wasn't interested in working there anymore. I wanted to move to a place where I could learn how to serve tables and do something more than just host. My sponsor at the time was working part time at Red Robin as a server. She offered for me to apply there and have an interview with her boss, and I got the job. I started as a host, and eventually I was going to train to be a server. That was the initial plan. But while I'm there, I realized that my boss at the time really enjoyed giving addicts a second chance. She had a soft spot for people who were in recovery, who were trying to rebuild their life. So she enjoyed assisting them in rebuilding their life and giving them that chance. And she was such a great role model and coach, and her leadership qualities I will admire forever, the way that she showed up for us. She hired a lot of people in recovery, and one of those people happened to be someone I came really close with. His name is Giuliano. We still talk to this day. He now owns a food truck in Las Vegas, 303 in the Cut. If you guys ever get a chance, go check him out if you're ever in Las Vegas. But he was working there as a busser, and I noticed a few times where he'd be walking around limping. Me and my other coworkers were out on the back patio smoking a cigarette on our break at the time when I still smoked cigarettes. And he comes walking by to take the trash out, and he's limping and kind of grabbing his legs. And I remember all of us kind of looked at each other like, why is this guy limping around? Like, is he okay? And we asked him, "Are you all right, man? You're kind of limping around." And he responded, yeah, I just had leg day yesterday. I'm just really sore." And that happened a couple times where it was kind of like, "Dude, are you okay?" Because he was limping around. And he always responded with, "Yeah, I went to the gym. I'm just kind of sore." One day, after a few times of him giving us that response, he looked at me and he said, "Do you want to roll with me? You can come with." And I remember being a little bit skeptical at first because I had tried the whole fitness journey thing, but it was kind of something I have been interested in starting for a while before he had asked me. So at the same time, although I was intimidated by it, him asking me made me feel a lot better about making that decision to actually start going. So I decided that this was a good opportunity for me to start showing up and going to the gym, having somebody there to help me on this journey with me. And in the beginning, I didn't really need motivation. When I first started going, it was fun. I had him to talk to and to kind of guide the way, to kind of show me the ropes, what workouts to do. This is how hard you push yourself. Try to eat a lot. That was kind of his motto at the time. And I would just obsess about fitness, the gym, nutrition. I was always looking up recipes. Like, this kind of became my new interest. And I remember looking at videos, and none of them really talk about how to cultivate any type of motivation. They all just kind of tell you this is what you eat and this is what you work out, and that's kind of it. Nobody really says this is how you stay motivated. So there are a few different ways that I personally liked to use to help me stay motivated. However, in the end, I'm going to explain to you guys what really will keep you motivated. So first things first, like the story I just told you guys, the first thing is to just find a gym partner. Find somebody that's down to kind of learn the ropes with you. Maybe they already know a few things and you just want to roll with them. Maybe they're starting a fitness journey and you just have somebody to kind of bounce your anxiety and your fear off of. Like, you have that camaraderie around learning something new and you don't feel so alone in the process. Having Giuliano when I first started working out, he was my gym partner for 2 years. And he would call me in the mornings and say, "Hey, I'm going to be at the gym in about 30 minutes. Are you going to come?" I'd still be in bed, but I'd hop up and I'd throw on my clothes and get in my car and said, "Let's go," and meet him at the gym, and we would work out together. That was what pushed me to really start working out. And while we were there at the gym, every single time we worked out, he would let me know, "This is how you do this. Yes, push yourself." He would spot me. He was my outlet for anything that was going on in my life. It was extremely therapeutic for me in the beginning. And it was something that I really looked forward to. I loved going to the gym with him. It was my favorite thing. That's why I made it such a priority in the beginning. But a couple years into my fitness journey, we both had other plans to do bigger things with our lives, and he had to move away to follow his dreams of opening his food truck. And I had to move away because I found out that Prescott, Arizona just wasn't for me anymore. It wasn't a town that I wanted to be in anymore, and I wanted something more for myself as well. I didn't want to work in restaurants for the rest of my life. I didn't want to work in real estate. I didn't want to do the things that the people there were doing, and it seemed like a lot of people were falling into this black hole, this bottomless pit. So I decided I'm going to move away, and it just happened to be around the same time that he was moving away. He moved away about a month before I did. So when I first got to Denver, I didn't have anybody to work out with. Everything changed for me. I didn't have somebody to call me and say, hey, let's meet at the gym. I remember going to the gym, to Vasa Fitness, and doing my first tour. And I looked around and I was like, what the hell is going on? Because from small town to a bigger city, things are different. And going from Prescott, Arizona, where everyone kind of knew each other and there wasn't a lot of judgment, it seemed, coming to a bigger city, and all of a sudden everyone's looking at everybody. You see these chicks that are super athletic in the gym, jacked. You see these dudes that are absolute meatheads, jacked. And it was so scary. It was terrifying for me. And even though I signed up for a membership that day, I remember it took me about 6 months to actually start going to the gym consistently because I was so terrified of all of the other people in there. I wasn't shit in Denver, and that was scary. And that's what finding a gym partner can assist you in. That nervousness and anxiety that you have around just showing up to the gym. So maybe you have a coworker, maybe you have a sibling, maybe you have a roommate, maybe you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, maybe you have a friend that you're with pretty regularly, and you guys decide that this is something that you want to do. I think that is such a great way to tap into that motivation and to feed off of each other, especially if they want it just as bad as you do. So on days that you don't feel like it, or maybe you start making excuses, or they don't feel like it, or they start making excuses, you can kind of bounce off of each other and be like, no, this is what we committed to. Like, let's go. This will be fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's show up because we said we would, and we have each other. We can hang out. Also, make sure it's someone that you kind of like. Make sure it's not somebody that's a complete asshole. The second thing that helps and assists in building that motivation and making that motivation effortless is being prepared. Now, imagine waking up. You have to roll out of your warm bed into your cold apartment, and your goal is to get up and go to the gym. And you don't have your gym clothes laid out. You don't have anything ready for what you need to do. You still have to pick your outfit. You still have to make your pre-workout. You still have to do all of these things. They're going to take time and create friction between doing the thing that you want to do. It's going to prevent you from hopping up and going. You want to make this as easy as possible for you. You don't want to make it complicated. Now imagine waking up out of your cold bed and you know that you have your folded up sweats right next to you. You're going to hop out, put on your warm sweats, grab your workout drink, and just head out the door. That sounds 100 times easier than having to get out of a cold bed and figure out what you're wearing, figure out what you're drinking, figure out what you're taking with you to the gym. And it adds a lot of unnecessary stress that can make us not want to do it at all. The third thing is to don't overthink it. So when we overthink fitness as a whole, it can be really overwhelming to us. It can seem like something that is too complex for us to be able to understand it. You might be thinking, oh, but if I go to the gym right now, what am I going to do? What exercises am I going to do? How early am I going to eat before I go to the gym? Am I going to eat when I get back? How am I going to figure out all of this? Stop. All that stops because your priority is to just make it as simple as possible and don't overthink it. Just go. You don't have to know what you're going to do right now. Just go and walk through the doors because that's the hardest part, is to show up and walk through the doors. And if you're only there for 30 minutes shooting basketball or swimming, then so be it. Then that's what you're doing. But showing up consistently is going to be something that actually helps you in making that progress. So stop overthinking going to the gym. Stop overthinking what workouts am I going to do. Just show up, do a few things, and then leave. And that's it. Don't overthink it. It's really, really simple, guys. The thing is you let your mind run with all of these crazy ideas. You have a lot of fear around trying to figure it out. And at the end of the day, every single person that you see that's in shape, that's healthy, that lives a healthier lifestyle than you do is somebody that had a day one. There are not very many people that grew up, that were in shape, that stayed in shape. Everyone has their phases of going through something difficult. Maybe you fall off and start eating like shit or drinking more or partying or doing things that don't align with who you want to be. And you have to figure out how to break those habits to become the person that you want to be. And that's really difficult to do. But you're looking at people who have spent years and years figuring something out and comparing it to yourself. Just keep it easy. Don't overthink it and just show up. The fourth thing is to make it fun, guys. That is so important. People are sitting here saying, oh, I don't want to strength train. I don't want to lift weights. Okay, can you go play basketball? Can you go on a jog? Can you do something else? Does it have to be lifting weights? Can you take maybe the boot camp class that's at your gym? If your gym offers classes, can you do yoga? Can you go on a hike? Literally anything else. It could be anything. But make it fun. Make it something that you're actually kind of interested in. Don't go do something that you don't want to do. I don't like running. I don't. I hate running. I got maybe 1 or 2 miles on me if I decide to run, do cardio. If you were to tell me the only way that I can get into shape is to run marathons every couple of months, there is no way I'd be able to stick to it. There's no way. I hate running. I hate it. I haven't been able to find a way to like it. I've never liked it my entire life. That is something that doesn't work for me. So make sure you're doing something that's actually fun to you. And then when you do find something that's actually fun to you, make it more fun. Make it fun by listening to music that you actually like. Get nice headphones. They don't have to be super expensive, but make the experience something that's actually enjoyable, because that keeps us dialed in. That keeps us wanting to do it. That takes the edge off. That relieves some of that friction. All right. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on really quickly is that at the end of the day, the deep motivation that we have every single day is going to come from simply just not wanting to be where we're at and feel how we feel anymore. We get tired of our own bullshit. And it was years and years that I told myself that I wanted my dream body. I wanted to look a certain way. 5 years, actually, to be specific. 5 years of trying to figure out how to dial in that consistency, how to dial in my nutrition. How do I actually eat? What do I actually do? How much sleep do I get? 5 years it took me to actually commit to the process because I hated who I was and how I felt. I got out of a relationship that I was in for 10 months, and it was the worst relationship I'd ever been in. The things she would say to me, the way she would treat me, and I put up with it because I thought that's what I deserved. And after we broke up, after I finally got the courage to leave, I decided that I was never going to let myself be treated that way ever again, and that I was going to put everything that I could into becoming better than I've ever been. That meant getting in shape. That meant learning how to be emotionally available. That meant finances. That meant in every single way, I wanted to level up so much so that somebody like her could never have access to me ever again. And that was my drive. That is what I wanted to do. That's what kept me going. That's what kept me pushing super hard, is I wanted to change so badly because I was tired of putting myself in positions that were only hurting me, being around people that didn't care about me. Not only that, treating myself like shit and disrespecting myself. That was a really hard realization to have, but it took that relationship to make me realize that I was the only person that was going to make things happen in my life. You have to dig deep. You have to remind yourself why you're doing these things. And that is ultimately how you're going to find that motivation on the hardest days. I hope this helps, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram, dianarauer.fit. I'll put the link in the description so that my tag is there. Feel free to message me if you have any questions at all about nutrition, about exercising, about motivation, about consistency, about whatever you need help with. I'm here for you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.